Annie, we can't hear you. Volume.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
okay, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. I'm saying that is the final section, and I can see that I read Damoah is joining us. Okay, welcome. Yeah. We have not started at all. Good. And I was just saying that we must such an eventful day. We started from Zoom, and then somebody decided to Zoom us. So. Oh my God! But but I'm just sort of experiencing, and I'm very happy that we went to storm and we are here for the final lap. I'd like to, before I start, acknowledge the contribution of Ghana. They have been extremely supportive of this particular program from the very first day that we got in touch with them, and we are happy that they are doing this. So today I have amazing writers, stories, the gentleman. I have Amma, Agyemang-Prempeh. I'm very familiar with Amma and very well. And Nana read Damoah. We don't need an introduction between us, but just yesterday I was trying to read a bit about Nana, and I discovered something, and so it concluded for everything I've known about him. Marjy, I have to dig deep and read about you as well, and I was extremely impressed by the very thing that I read about you, and I'm very happy that I have the privilege to moderate a session for the three of you. As a way of trying to introduce all of you, I'd like to get for you guys to just underline, just give us a brief bio of yourself. Let me start with Amma Agyemang-Prempeh.
Hello?
Yes. Hi.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. But I didn't hear you, Annie.
Okay,
I was having some problem.
Okay, but is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll say that before we start, I would just like to have a less than a minute bio of yourself. If you tell me briefly about yourself under a minute, and we can zone in into the whole reading.
Okay, so I am Amma Agyemang-Prempeh. I'm a mom of 2 boys, and I love to read a lot. I love to read, and now I love to write. And I have a background in international relations and French, and so that's been exciting because everything has international relations these days. And so I think that's about me for now.
Okay, and it's French too. Je parlais Amma, right? Anyway, let's go to. No, let's go to Marj. I read an interview where you said you started writing at the age of 9.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like for you to tell us this. But to tell us who is Marjy, if I'm to tell somebody about you with respect to your book.
Well, my name is Marjy Boafo-Appiah, but my pen name is Marjy Marj. And I love my name. It's a nickname that my roommates gave to me when I was in Legon. And so lately they've been making fun of me and being like, hey, Marjy Marj, you fans. Well, I started writing when I was 9, maybe even before then, because I used to like acting in school plays and that type of stuff. And so I wrote when I was in Martin de Porres, and then I attended a Regal. So I was in Edinburgh House, and our house was really good with the plays and the culture dancing and that stuff. So I would always come up with a script or be the dance star. I just like to do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. So people see me, right? People see him.
People so high. Yes, that's us.
So you are the side boss for the represent guys, right? You are your friends.
What did you say? I missed that.
No, I'm saying that most of my you. I couldn't say it right, so I just came back to.
Oh yes, I'm so proud of the Brie girls. Everywhere I go, I like to mention that I'm before so they're tired of hearing me say that. But you see, I want to say it because every time I'm hearing what Westie girls, so we are there, you know.
Okay, let's not start a war because I know that Amma went to Western Games and
Westie girls in the house. Wait,
Anyway, let me come to the Kutubadi mayor. And I read one. You know that I yesterday for the very first we've been friends for a long time, and I read something about you with respect to the scholarship that you got to study in the UK. And when you said, for example, that when you saw the first time you saw the scholarship, you thought it was a spam because you applied 5 times.
Yes.
That was I didn't know about this, but I had to dig deep when I was coming to moderate this program. I needed to know something more than what I know about you. So I was really impressed by that. How was the feeling like that day when you discovered that indeed you are going to abroad trip?
Oh, it was. I indicated that if I were not at work, I would have cried.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had tried so many times, and especially when you finish school with a good degree and a good ranking in your class, you would think that everything beyond that will go according to your expectations. But God always has His own plan. So after four years of trying, I go through, and it was just amazing. But God plans His things. Yeah, it does.
Anyway.
Yeah, but a quick thing about you wanted a quick thing about me, so I've been writing since so I've been published since 2008, but my writing really goes back when I had my first story in the Mirror in 1995. So that's really when I go back, and then my first poetry piece was in 1992. I would have 8 books by the end of next week.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
The first time I read about you was when I used to work for the Business and Financial Times, and we used to publish your articles as well.
Yeah.
And then I saw a discussion in my mind. It was something like, how do you conduct a discussion in your mind? Then it kind of got me to read a lot about you and your work, and we've never looked back at it. So thank you very much for the introduction. I would like to welcome those who are joining us today. I'm moderating from Prom anyway. They just moved about 5 minutes ago, so we're good company. So this is how we're going to go. Nana, I'll put you between the ladies. Okay.
Yes.
So Marj will go first. Nana, you will come second, and then Amma will do last, and then we'll go from there. Marj, I know you have 2 books, at least that I know. Same Elephant and Shimmigrant. And which one will you read for us?
I'll actually read from both. I'll read from the ending of Shimmigrant to kind of give you an idea how it goes in Same Elephants, and then I'll continue from a page in the Same Elephants.
Okay, good. I know that the thing is structured that you read, and I'll ask you a question, but I'm very interested in the title, Shimmigrant. I hear about second, but normally it's immigrants. You were directly impressed with that. What really motivated the title?
Okay, Shimmigrants is really simple. It's she and immigrants, and I like to say shimmy, shimmy. So that is Shimmigrants. She immigrants. I'm a very basic person. So yeah, immigrants, that's it. Are you there, Anny?
Thank you. Anyway, yeah, you're talking about something that I think is fun.
And do you want to know about the title Same Elephants too? Hi, Anny.
I think Anny has frozen. Go ahead. Let's tell us about Same Elephant and then do your reading, Marj.
Okay, well, the title Same Elephants is also pretty basic. Elephant, you. So same elephants, it means we are all the same.
Elephant you, elephant me.
Yeah, so same elephant means, no, this might not be different elephant.
Awesome. So go ahead with your reading, Marj.
Yes, okay. So I would like to begin the reading on the last chapter of the Shimmigrant. And the last chapter says, Onward. Here we go. The night before the conditions were removed. Hold on, before I do that, I've been working behind the scenes as well, so let me click on my name.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go with the last chapter, Onward. The night before the conditions were removed from my green card, I called the communication center in Kumasi. I needed Mama to get her prayer warriors together. I needed that paper. It was my gateway to freedom. With papers, I will be able to apply for jobs that will pay better. I was worried about my mounting debt because I wasn't earning enough money. I had resorted to using credit cards to supplement my everyday expenses. I had gotten to the point of using credit cards even at the grocery store. Goodness, I didn't have any reserves. I reminded myself that I needed to stay positive. Graduation was close. I was about to receive my associate's degree. With my papers in hand, I will be free to pursue my dreams. Maybe I could move into a safer neighborhood. Chai, I will find a great job and make enough money to buy myself a car. And if it was God's will, I may be able to apply for a bachelor's degree program. As I lay in the dark, I thought to myself, Sianku life is full of ups and downs, curveball after curveball. So that is the ending of the Shimmigrant. And the Same Elephants, which is a continuation of the Shimmigrant, I begin the Same Elephants with the Human Oath. In the Shimmigrant, the Human Oath ends that book. And so that same Human Oath is the beginning of the Same Elephants.
Right.
And it says, we are humans from all around the world, one kind only, and that is humankind. So that's the beginning of Same Elephants. Now to get into that chapter that you wanted. I was very intentional about choosing the chapter that I was going to read today. I wrote a chapter in Same Elephants called The Incident. And that chapter is playing out in real life right now in America.
Yeah. Right.
And so I wanted to read from that chapter. By the way, this is the cover of Same Elephants. And it has 4 friends, a group of diverse women. As you can see, there's an African American in there. There is another woman of color, and then there are 2 Caucasian ladies. So those are the 4 friends. It's a book about 4 friends from diverse backgrounds. So I go into the incident. Okay. The incident. On Friday night, Jane and Aviva realized that their weekend was going to be busier than anticipated. They had entirely forgotten about a bat mitzvah that Aviva had committed to and were wondering if we'd like to get started without them or just wait and meet at the apartment in the afternoon. Now, the backdrop for this is Jane and Aviva were in the process of, Jane was in the process of moving from her apartment into Aviva's apartment. And so the 2 friends, Rakia and Sasha, who were women of color, were going to help their 2 other friends, Jane and Aviva, with the moving process. And Rakia, I call her by a short name, Kia. So there we go. Kia thought that it'd be better to go in the afternoon. She felt more comfortable going to the apartment when everybody was there. Meanwhile, I felt like since I had to get to work by 7 p.m., it'd be better to start packing early. I explained my situation to Kia. I didn't mind going early to start packing the items. Getting to the apartment early would help us get a head start on moving the things into the U-Haul. Aviva suggested that they could just give us the entry code for the apartment. Although Kia was hesitant about that, I thought it was a good idea. And since she didn't want me to go by myself, she agreed to go with me anyway. The me in the book is Sasha, the girl from Ghana, and Kia is the African American. We arrived at the apartment around 9 a.m. The parking lot was full that morning. When we got to the entrance, there were several people trying to get in. The folks in front of us had already pushed in the entry code, so we just followed them inside. We weren't the only ones who entered without keying in the code. Since we were guests, Jane reminded us to talk to the guy at the front desk before going upstairs. We stopped by the desk. The was welcoming. He was expecting us. Jane had mentioned our visit before leaving. After checking in, we headed to the second floor. This time, we used the stairs instead of the elevator. When we arrived at the door, we pulled out Jane's key from under the floor per her instructions. Under the floor mats per her instructions. The door opened at the first try. We were ready for some packing and heavy lifting. We realized that in order to move faster, we were going to need the dolly from the U-Haul. So we picked up a few boxes, the keys on the U-Haul, and headed back downstairs. On our way back from picking the dolly, I received a phone call from Ghana. What would I do? Although Kia and I were friends, I didn't feel comfortable about her hearing me talk about money issues with my family back home. So I opted to take the stairs instead of the elevator. Taking the stairs was a nice excuse. Not only was it going to give me a little privacy, but also I could talk for a little bit longer on the phone. Ultimately, Kia got to the apartment before I did. And since she didn't want to have to get the door for me, when I came back up, she decided to prop it open with one of the boxes. This way, it'd be easy for me to enter the apartment. Considering that we were in an access code building with security guards, she felt it was safe to leave the door propped for a few minutes. Unbeknown to us, Jane's neighbor on the other side was suspicious and had been observing us. She thought we were trespassing, so she called security. As I walked toward the door, I saw 2 security men coming toward me. They kind of looked like the police. I was wondering where they were headed. I figured it was none of my business. Well, to my surprise, they stopped me as I was making my way into the apartment. Oblivious to what was happening, I smiled and asked them if they needed help. This is Sasha smiling, right? They told me to step aside. What I didn't understand what was going on. Had something happened to Kia? Out of concern, I yelled for Kia. Then I asked the men if my friend was okay. Did something happen? I was reminded about how I arrived home to a bunch of policemen the day my cousin died. Please let Kia be okay, I thought. The men didn't answer my question. Rather, they wanted to know what I was doing at the apartment. I explained to them I was helping my friend move. Again, I asked if Kia was okay. Kia must have heard me call out her name because she came to the door. Like me, she was baffled. The security guards asked me for my ID. Wait a minute. Why did they need my ID? I was scared. I put my hands in my pocket. And then Kia told them that my ID was in my back pocket. Why did Kia have to tell them that my ID was in my pocket? I was just reaching out for it for them. One of the security guard's hands was close to his belt, next to his gun. I started shaking. I was so thankful that I was no longer illegal. I pulled out my driver's license. The other guy asked Kia for her ID as well. She told them that they didn't have the right to ask her for an ID. Why wouldn't Kia just give them her ID, I thought. I didn't want her getting into trouble with these security guards. Suddenly, from the corner of my eye, I saw the woman from the other night. She was approaching us. I was kind of relieved because I thought she was coming to our rescue. To my surprise, she told them that we were trespassing and that she knew the resident of the apartment. How could she say that? Didn't I just see her the night before? Okay, I think I'm going to stop here.
Great stuff, Marjy. For someone like me who hasn't lived in the US, I always wonder, why is it that immigrants fear the police so much?
Well, immigrants fear the police for different reasons. Sometimes it's because they don't have the right paperwork. And other times, depending on the kind of immigrant, because they're immigrants from different countries. We have immigrants from Mexico, Colombia, Ghana, Nigeria. So depending on the immigrants, they may fear the police because of a stereotype, because the police might just assume that this person belongs to a gang based on how they look, or the person may be Black, and they might just think that that person is out there to commit a crime. Mind you, if the police stops you, they're not going to ask you, are you from Ghana? Are you from Nigeria? I'm talking about if you're a Black person. The first thing they see is that you are Black. And don't get me wrong, not all police are bad, but there are some that have this stereotype. And so that all adds to their fear of the police.
Amazing stuff. Amma, you want to add something? You want to comment on the reading? You lived in the US for a while. Actually, you have lived both in the US and in the UK.
And yes, in the US for 4, in the UK just 1. Yeah.
Right. Any comment on the reading? Is this something you identify with in a way?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. And with your question about the immigrants, once you're an immigrant, you just have to go around knowing that, like, people first presume that you're illegal and you're going to do something illegal, because that's the presumption. So you're just extra careful, because unfortunately that's a stereotype that people have.
Right.
But then, yeah.
Right. Okay.
And it's really relevant. The book is really relevant to current affairs. So that's why I kept connecting with what's happening now.
Yes.
Surprisingly, there's so many things in that book that relates to what is happening now. The lack of representation for writers of color, the kind of exposure that writers of color get, the stereotyping issue, the girls and the protests that happen in the book. I'm just baffled at what is playing out now, and the content of Same Elephants.
Right. Okay, Anny, welcome back. I took over your role for a little bit, so I'll change the plan a bit. I'll let Amma read now, so you get into the mix, and then I'll do the third reading. So Amma, show us what you got from Motherhood 101.
Okay, so this is Motherhood 101, my very first book, published by the publishers, the great. Okay, so I'm starting with the very first chapter, Mommy in Waiting.
But before you read, Amma, tell us why you wrote this book, because it's not an ordinary book. and it seems to be that you really bared your heart and your life. So tell us where you got the boldness from.
Okay, I wrote this book. This book is from my experience with my first son. That was in 2012, and before I had my own child. I had seen my sister have her nieces, and I had just seen friends and family with babies. But my experience shocked me. It shocked me so much that I had to write a book, because I said, if all these surprises are coming to me, then I'm sure there's someone else out there who doesn't know about this. And the other time I got a message, one of my friends thought I was being a bit pessimistic, like I was just saying the negative things in my book. But the whole idea was to give people the full picture, that yes, there are good times, but you also need to prepare for the times where you just want to throw your baby to somebody. You just want to go back to not being a mom. So that's why I wrote this book. That
Yeah.
listen, it's great, but it's not always great.
Yeah. A
So,
very quick follow-up question. How has the response been?
oh, it's been great. It's been amazing. I was really nervous having to share my story, even first to share with my publishers. So I had this book for at least a year and a half before I had the courage to share, because I said, why would anyone want to know about this? And so I have people telling me that's my story. That is what so many women have not been able to share. And that has been very encouraging. That it's been a voice to many people who haven't had the opportunity to share their experience of motherhood with the world.
Okay, so please go ahead, and you've tantalized us enough. So give us the real thing.
So chapter one is mommy in waiting. For as long as I can remember, I have been intrigued by pregnancy and motherhood. As a child, I used to play in front of the mirror and pretend to be pregnant. I would roll up clothes into a ball and fasten it under my dress as my bump. With a classic hand on waist pose, I would walk around the room acting like a pregnant lady. I couldn't wait to be pregnant. As I grew older, I looked forward to motherhood with eager anticipation. I would be the pregnant fashionista with trendy clothes, whether at the office or out on a date. I would live a normal life, working full time, taking care of my home, and having fun with my husband. And after childbirth, I would strike the perfect balance to juggle roles as a wife, mother, and professional. Sure, I knew that motherhood would be challenging, but I was optimistic that those challenges would be few and far between. I was positive that being a mother would bring me incredible joy and a sense of fulfillment. So, barely a few weeks after our honeymoon, I was already dying to find out whether I was pregnant or not. My husband teased that he could sense I was already pregnant, but I laughed it off. I didn't want to get my hopes high so soon. One day, on my way home from work, I purchased a home pregnancy test kit to put an end to the suspense. Two red lines meant you were pregnant, and if you weren't, a single red line appeared. As I waited anxiously for the lines to appear, I secretly hoped for the former, but I hedged my emotions. I didn't want to be disappointed. A few seconds went by, and I mustered the courage to look. I opened one eye slowly, then the other. From the corners of both, I saw one line and then two bold red lines. Yes, I was pregnant. I was overjoyed. God had answered my prayers. In fact, He had exceeded my expectations. I was simply elated. I could barely stop myself from posting a picture of the positive pregnancy test on my Facebook page. But I knew I had to tell my husband first. This was a dream come true. I was going to be a mummy. I was going to have my own child, my very own baby. I couldn't wait for my husband to get home to share the good news. I was bursting with excitement. I wondered what his reaction would be. Everything had happened so fast, and it would make perfect sense for him to be anxious, but I prayed that he would be just as happy as I was. Thankfully, he was, and we were both excited that we were going to be parents. So
Wow.
that's that.
Annie, are
Wow.
you okay
Wow.
to take over?
Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
very. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You heard the reading, right?
Good, good, good. Okay.
Yes.
So Absolutely. That was fantastic. Whilst we were reading, Maxine Musley Toto said, I love your book, Amma. And she says it's very relatable. But I would like to ask a question, and that has to do with I've seen women get pregnant, they're expecting to have children, unfortunately, and they have miscarriage. Um, Obviously, you to women who are going through that process. How difficult is it for them to come out and expect another child in this process?
Women who have, I didn't get the, you're talking about women who have lost
Can you hear me?
pregnancies? Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Yes. So that's what he meant.
I think that one would have to be from
Hello?
someone's personal experience, because I haven't had that
Hello?
experience. Hello, Annie. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, Annie, we can hear you. So she's answering your question now. Amma, go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying I wouldn't be able to
Hello?
say it because I haven't had a miscarriage before. But in my case, the fear of a miscarriage, because you always have that fear, you try to keep it secret. The fact that you're pregnant, to keep it secret, to tell or not to tell. But I was just crazy. Before my mom was aware, I had told everybody, everybody and their mother knew. It was like, hey, Tobo. I'm like, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. And I know this baby, everything will be fine. But usually the first trimester, usually you're supposed to keep it on the low because there is that fear that you could lose the pregnancy. But I just had to tell the world. I was just so happy.
No, Marj, I think I would want to take a comment from you because you were smiling throughout the reading. Any reaction?
Oh yeah, when you're pregnant, they say don't tell anyone. But like for me, I was so excited. I just couldn't contain myself. I couldn't help myself. And I remember one of my girlfriends was pregnant and she didn't want to tell anybody, and so she waited and told me like when she was 5 months pregnant or so. But I could tell because her nose got bigger. And I could tell that she was pregnant, but she was hiding the secret. And she didn't want to say it, and I was saying in my head, "You think I don't know?" Yeah.
No, but it's funny, most Ghanaian ladies, I don't know whether it's South African, but most Ghanaian ladies, when you see them posting pictures of their pregnancy on Facebook, it means they have delivered.
Oh, the baby is like 6 months old already.
Yes. Let me quickly read some of the comments which came in. So David Donko says, happy to join you all and I look forward to your reading. So I hope you are enjoying, David. Elsie got into the fight between People Sohan and Wege. And he says, Marjorie, you know Wege, they are no size, but we love our Bogese girls. And Zoe and Esinam were just feeling your vibe, Marjorie. They said your vibe is so infectious.
Oh.
And yeah, Elikem agrees with them. And Zoe said, every immigrant and immigrant. So that's another word, immigrant.
Oh yeah, that's a bit immigrant.
Oh, okay.
Immigrants.
So every immigrant and immigrant's nightmare in Obiman. So and Zoe said, as you read, she really got the chills, and Elsie did as well. Esinam didn't want you to stop the reading at all. She was just loving it. And Maxine asked, commented on the Chronicles of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and all of that. I think that was to Ira. And David said Marj offers a very heartfelt account of navigating the American space as an immigrant. Joanna came on and she just says, I'm enjoying the program. She doesn't want to talk much. Emmett Verison says, I think most young ladies desire to be the fashionable preggy in trendy clothes. Good. So, yeah, so Patricia says, congrats to you ladies, to you, Marj, and then to Amma. We've been doing, since the first session, we've been doing a lot of prose and non-fiction. So I want to break the flow with a little fiction. And don't worry, we would carry on as you try to sort yourself out. So I'll do a reading from my
Problem with the sound. Okay.
yet to be published poetry book. Marj, I think you can mute Annie.
Yes, I
Yet,
can.
yes. So yet to be published poetry book, maybe sometime next year. I still not decided. The title of this collection is Curiosity Ate the Cat. Curiosity ate the cat. Curiosity ate the cat, but satisfaction restored it to life. Life it was who said that he who laughs last is humourtagic. Don't count your chicks before you buy the mother hen, and do not put all your eggs in one frying pan. That would be an egg extravaganza, says my friend Prosper Zabaga. Or in one fridge, else you go cringe. Fortune favors the banku and ignored the akpele. Give a man a fish and he would expect kinky. Give out what you can afford to lose, else credit only when credit is collected by unique trust. A journey of 1,000 miles better begin with a bowl of wache, for an army marches on its canto. A bird in hand will make great pepper soup. The early bird only gets drenched in dew. Half a loaf requires less blue band margarine. Let sleeping dogs nowhere near Kwesichon. A little learning becomes evident on Facebook posts. Better to remain silent and be taught a fool than to smile and reveal your yellow teeth. Empty barrels are easier to roll. He who pays the piper cannot be the piper. Don't judge a book by its color, especially in Ghanaian politics. Absolute power corrupts until the next elections. Especially during elections, beware of Greeks speaking Gan, answering to every difficult question, oh, we will cross the bridge in the dry season. Better the devil you don't know at all. Birds of the same feathers chop together. Cheaters never win, and whoever said that hasn't visited Ghana. Well, don't say I did not warn you. After all, fools rush in where politicians point them to. The pen is mightier than the politician's promise. Better you listen now rather than later, because a stitch in time uses less thread and prevents the armpit of the dress from tearing further. Don't bite the hand you use to feed, or bite it and use a spoon. You may choose to ignore the message by shooting the messenger, but never shoot the messenger without an alibi. Don't get mad alone. After a storm comes the mayor and the AMA, as happened last week, asking for building permits and sermonizing with plaintive lyrics that God helps those who cannot say help themselves. All bishakara, political gimmicks. He who lives in a glass house must not dress in the day, or only when Doom CG is on duty. Appearances can be deceptive, but smell is not. A trouble shared is wahala. Why? Because a problem shared is a problem that can trend on Facebook or on Twitter. Barking dogs seldom keep secrets. All that glitters woos the Chinese man, and two wrongs never made Rashida Black Beauty great again. Since charity is at home and brevity is, do as I say and say no more. For me, I turn to my bed to sleep, for early to sleep, early to snore.
Wow.
So well, Annie is not here, so I would ask whether you guys have any responses to that, and then we can take some more comments and have a second round of readings.
Then we can't wait till next year for you to publish it. It has to be published this year.
Your sense of humor is way up there.
Well, let me quickly read some of the comments that came in, and then we'll go to Marj for a second round of reading. So let's say, okay, so I'm going back. So Joanna comes in again with a Gehe fight. You people won't let this thing rest. Oh yeah, Gehe, those sides. I can relate with your story, Amma. And Elsie says, oh, true. You cannot pronounce until you are very obviously pregnant. It is like the obvious elephant in the room. Mariska says, it is only when I came to Ghana that I noticed women did not want to say they were pregnant until they were so obvious. It was all hush hush. Somebody said the witches could cause problems. Oh, well, you have somebody, you know, a guy rooting for Gehe, so Gehe all the way. Answer me. He says he's enjoying the reading. Asinam is just down with stitches with Victor. Papa says, don't put all your eggs in one frying pan. Well, that's noted. And Maxine loves the twist in the Proverbs. Joanna says, she knew Wache would feature at all costs. Wow. Okay. Zoe says, Nana, I can't with you. Elsie says, wisdom and humor. Tori Dinah says, empty barrels are definitely easier to roll and pack. Koklu says, of course, Kenke would always wait for fish. No loneliness or social distancing there. Nairam says, journey of 1,000 miles better begin with Wache. Of course. Well, so lots of comments about the poem. I can't read all of them, but they are rolling. And then somebody says, well, I should publish it this year for sure. Okay, we'll see about that. So, well, we've done 45 minutes. We have about 18 minutes to go. So I think it is enough to squeeze in 2 readings by both Marj and Amma. So, Marjy, can you please take it away?
Yes. I'd like to continue from a different page, which says shock. And I don't know why I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't read my own book. We entered the apartment in a state of shock. How in the world did this woman that we saw earlier this week start this? Wasn't I the one who held the elevator door for her? Did she not see me? Was she that biased? We didn't even want to leave the apartment. We decided that we would just stay inside until Jane and Aviva's return. As we waited for the girls, we wrapped up the silverware, plates, and other utensils. Barely 25 minutes into our wrapping, they walked in. Aviva was crying. They were so sorry that we had been treated that way. Jane wanted us to walk to her neighbor's apartment to confront her. I didn't think the woman was going to care about a confrontation. That woman did not care about Kia and myself. I believed with every core of my being that she was racist. As much as she may have convinced herself that she was looking out for Jane, her utterances gave her away. I didn't understand why she acted that way. In the past few years, I had realized that some people were quick to jump to conclusions about certain races. Even at school, people assumed that Asian kids were the smartest. And then there were those who thought that hearing a family speak Spanish probably equated them to being illegal immigrants. It was getting tiring. Why wouldn't people just see us for who we were? Students, daughters, sisters, friends. Yes, I knew that I could be discriminated against because of my accent. Somehow, I even felt that it was okay for people to question my heritage because I sounded different. As a teenager in New York, people did not like me because I was poor and had a different accent. There were times that I thought the kids didn't want to hang out with me because I was ugly. To combat my insecurities, I tried to fit in by perfecting my English the best way I could. I believed that getting a good education was going to open doors for me. But even after bettering myself, I felt like there were still the times that I was treated as if I wasn't good enough. That day, Jane's neighbor proved once again that it really didn't matter your level of education or socioeconomic background. You could be targeted because of the presumptiveness of your accuser. Kia's reaction to that incident also taught me a lesson about my naivety. When I did not find anything wrong with going to Jane's house by myself, Kia was more cautious. When I was ready to pull out my ID from my pocket, Kia knew that she had to inform them about why I was putting my hand in my pocket. Although we had both lived in fear, Kia was better prepared when it came to protecting oneself during encounters like that. Kia hadn't lived anywhere else other than America. She was born here. Her relatives were from here. Her grandfather grew up in an era where he had to sit at the back of the bus. He worked in the cotton fields of South Carolina, where his doctors refused to touch his body during employee physicals. Kia had always lived in the knowledge of being Black in America. I had an awakening. I wasn't just a Black immigrant from Ghana. I was a Black person. It didn't matter what I felt inside or what I sounded like. There were some people who were prepared to see me as a threat just because of the color of my skin.
That was emotional, Marj. That was emotional. And let me ask a question quickly, because sometimes people ask writers that what is your target audience? I tell them that I write for myself. Sometimes I just want to write my own experiences out, my own emotions out. So let me wait. Let me give you some time to recover. But Amma, how do you respond to that, and how do you respond to the reading she just did and the emotions?
It was really moving, and just the fact that simple actions, just like putting your hand in your pocket for your ID, you have to explain why. It just takes away your innocence even before you've done anything wrong. Yeah. And so that's just so unfair, and it's a huge burden. It's a huge burden that you would have to carry through no fault of yours, just because someone presumes that you're illegal, you're a bad person, and you're about to commit a crime. So it's just a huge burden for people to carry all their lives.
Yeah. Marj, you good?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to comment on that? You want to say something about that? Why does it bring out that emotion?
I think with everything that is happening in America right now, and with there are some people who may be arrested, or there's some people that have actually committed crimes, and then they're the innocent. They're the innocent ones, that could just get pulled over, and based on the color of their skin or what they look like, they could just be targeted. And when I wrote the book, I cried, but I did not realize that the book was going to make me this emotional. I haven't read it since all this started happening.
Yeah.
And when I look at our children and the fact that, sometimes I hear some Africans putting African Americans in a box, and I'm like, you people don't understand that African Americans fought for your rights to be in this country, for the jobs that you have, for you to be able to go to the schools that you're going to. And your children that were born here, when people see them, they see them as Black. They don't see them as being from Nigeria or Cameroon or anywhere else. And so for our children, and to think that our sons may be out and somebody may even perceive them a certain way. And there was this example of a doctor who was taking care of the homeless during this COVID-19 crisis, who was put in cuffs. It didn't matter that he was a doctor. There was a girl who was at Yale University studying, and somebody called the security or the police on her. It didn't matter that she had qualified to be at Yale. People took a vacation. They were just walking in a neighborhood. They called the cops on them. Somebody was moving from to his own apartment. They called the cops on him. It's unbelievable what happens. And I'm not saying that all police are bad, but also, this I wrote this book from a place where this is about all people that are stereotyped. It's not just about blacks. It's about Hispanics who face that presumptiveness. It's about Chinese who face that presumptiveness. In the book, I hope that I was able to illustrate the difference between the blacks from Africa and the blacks from the United States. In that, those from Africa, I think, are a bit naive sometimes. They act. They are a bit more trusting, and that's why Sasha was going to take her ID from her pocket without thinking twice, because back home where she was, you call the police to come and save you. You don't think that they're going to do something to you. But Kira knew better. And so I wanted to show that we have to learn, as Africans who have also moved to the United States, we have to learn from our fellow African Americans and understand the culture. At the same time, our fellow African Americans who came home for the year of return and have showed such interest in Africa want to learn from us as well. So together, we are one unit. We are all Black, and we are all children of God.
Absolutely. I had made a post, so two comments quickly before Amma comes in. I had made a post recently that for those of us who grew up in Africa, when we go abroad, we have to learn how to notice racism. We have to notice how to live around these prejudices, because we don't experience those things here. And then the second thing, I remember your post about your boy, Adam, and how you have to worry when he goes out. So you're getting a lot of love. And quickly also, sometimes writers tend to become like prophets in how we write, because this book came out early this year, right?
Yes.
Much earlier. So it's not that you even knew what was going to happen with all what's happening now. Okay, so Amma, I think we can squeeze in about 3 minutes of reading for you.
Yes.
And then I would do one last reading, and then Marj, you would admit Anny and Elikem. Elikem will have a word for all those who have kept faith with us since 2 o'clock or so. So Amma, take it away. Let's do about 4 minutes or 3 minutes excerpt.
Sure. Okay, so I'm reading from the chapter Mommy Police. This book wouldn't be complete without a chapter on the group of people I call Mommy Police. You see, the social commentary didn't end with pregnancy. Now that I had a baby, people felt the need to give unsolicited advice on how I could take better care of him. This was not only annoying, but also insulting. Again, no topic was off limits for the Mommy Police. They needed to have details of every aspect of my life. Did you have a vaginal birth? In the days and weeks following childbirth, some people were curious to know how my son had been born. Why do they care? Apparently, some people think that only women who have vaginal births have experienced the real deal. Anything short of that, cesarean section or vaginal birth with epidural, was simply a shortcut to motherhood. Your baby is troublesome. I soon learned that despite the importance Ghanaian society places on childbearing, it is not a very child-friendly society. Babies are adorable as long as they are quiet. The moment they begin to make any sound, be it a whimper or a loud cry, they instantly lose their cuteness. That's when the commentary begins. Is he always like that? He's troublesome. Oh. How do you manage? That's how baby boys are. And on and on and on. Ironically, I heard these comments most when I was in church. Whatever happened to Jesus' words, let the children come to me? For some reason, some adults forget that crying is a baby's primary form of communication. Babies cry to communicate their discomfort. So concluding that my baby is troublesome just because he is crying is rash and insensitive. And the most irritating aspect of this was that they never bothered to help me out. They simply informed me that my son was a nuisance and then went on their normal business. How rude. Your baby is fat. These days, even babies have a social responsibility to be the perfect weight. You can't be too skinny because that will mean that your mother is inexperienced and is starving you. Neither can you be too chubby. That will mean your inexperienced mother is overfeeding you. Some of the comments people made included, "What do you feed him? Obolo." While some of these comments were harmless, others, such as "he's fat just like you," were just plain rude and insensitive. What happened to the term bouncing baby boy? When are you having number two? I was first asked this question when our son was only 4 months old. Some people advised me to get on with it. Don't wait too long. Hurry and finish with childbearing. I was astonished. I had barely adjusted to my new role as a mother, and now people were asking for another baby. Were they already bored with baby Yao? It was hard to please everyone. It seemed that there was always something else to aspire to obtain. Now that I had a child, I needed to have more children as soon as possible. There was no space to relax and enjoy the moment. You are still fat. Some people took their mommy police jobs very seriously and were quick to point out to me that I still hadn't lost the baby weight. This was by far the comment that upset me the most. It was annoying that people who had no idea of what I was going through as a new mother would make insensitive comments about my weight. Sometimes I broke down into tears when I heard such comments, but my mother always consoled me and told me not to pay attention to anyone. She explained that most people didn't mean to offend me with their comments. In fact, for some people, it was simply small talk. Okay, that's
Wow.
it.
Wow. Well, so our time is running down so quickly, so I won't take comments on this. I want to do a final reading, and then we would see whether we can have Elikem join us. Elikem has been the organizer behind all of this, so he would have a message for us. So I will do a final reading from my book, I Speak of Ghana. And then I'll read, You Know You Are in Ghana When. You know you are in Ghana when street lights are visible decorations by day and invisible shadows by night. You know you are in Ghana when ambulances carry dead people leisurely from the hospitals whilst taxis carry sick people hurriedly to the hospitals. You know you are in Ghana when a politician pays you to get him into office only for you to pay him when he gets out of office. You know you are in Ghana when you wonder whether the spokespersons for the big men speak with them before speaking for them. You know you are in Ghana when the fire service rushes to the scene of a fire only to realize there is no water in the fire tender or no fire hydrants around. You know you are in Ghana when police cars with siren blaring are full of people going to a wedding. You know you are in Ghana when a policeman asks you for your torchlight in your car at noon. You know you are in Ghana when a 60-year-old man is introduced as the chairman of the Esukuma Youth Association. You know you are in Ghana when a driver reverses on the motorway. You know you are in Ghana when potholes on the motorway built with concrete are patched with bitumen. You know you are in Ghana when prime time on radio is used to discuss the meaning of an insult. You know you are in Ghana when a person uninterested in a political position still stands for elections due to the pressure of the masses. You know you are in Ghana when the headline of a major newspaper has an error. You know you are in Ghana when the headline of a story is written a week before the story develops, and the story and the headline have nothing in common. You know you are in Ghana when journalists like sign writers do not use dictionaries. You know you are in Ghana when a 4-year-old's response to the question, who put off the light, is Nanado. You know you are in Ghana when nobody dies a natural death. You know you are in Ghana when drivers do a U-turn in the middle of a T junction. You know you are in Ghana when a pastor can actually say on radio that he put a curse on someone, you know you are in Ghana when somebody feels insulted after asking him, what do you mean? You know you are in Ghana when the census enumeration officer asks you, your wife, is she married? And then you know you are in Ghana when you hear names of football clubs like Ashanti Achim with Bremen, Gomoase Dominase, Gomoa Dominase Everton, Beto Omu Hull City, Sefiri also Barcelona, and Patase Milan. You know you are in Ghana when you laugh about serious issues to keep your sanity. You know you are in Ghana when you laugh to prevent you from crying. You know you are in Ghana because when you heard me read this, you shook your head and you smiled because you know only in Ghana can you never, never have a dull day. So that's the last reading. Let me see whether we can have some comments and then we can admit Elikem and then the rest of the team to give us their final word. So many comments. Let me see whether I can just go through. Bab C says, nice work, Ira. Nayam says, I really want to read Motherhood 101, beautiful write-up. Elsie says, well done, Amma. Namoah Odu says, our systems need a great overhaul. Ghana, our motherland, good read. Rariska, I love the one about the 60-year-old chairman of the Youth Association. Elsie says, one of my favorite to this day, Nana. Well, Ejako Fosu says, Nana, you know you are in Ghana when the old lady says it will rain, it rains, but when the meteorologist forecast, it is the opposite. So that's my last comment. But guys, thank you so much. Elikem, are you on? Elikem, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah. So before I hand over to you, before I hand over to you, I will quickly want to ask Marjy and Amma where people can get their books. So we take Marjy.
Okay, so all the authors that were today.
So Elikem, hold on, Elikem. Let Marjy and Amma answer where they can get their books, and then we'll let you have the last word.
Okay.
Well, my books are available at Book Nook.
That's fine.
Yes, and also you can find it on Amazon. There are ebooks available. You can download it on Apple Books, Barnes & Noble. If you're in the United States, go to your nearest bookstore. In Ghana, Book Nook, as I said, also Bookteek Ghana has it. And I hope you get to read those books.
Awesome. Amma. Amma, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, Motherhood 101 is available on Book Nook bookstore in Ghana. It's an online store and also on Ehanum. And it's also available on Amazon globally. And if you can also WhatsApp 024-527-5981. If you WhatsApp this number, you can place an order and it will be delivered to you.
And it's also available in Takoradi in the
yes,
shop.
in Jenna Moore.
Okay.
Jenna Moore Marj by the shop.
Right. Okay. So available on Book Nook and also in Vidia bookstore in Osu and in Laboni. I was going to say something, but I forgot. So I can just hand over to Elikem.
Well, Nana, where are your books?
No, I just mentioned. So my books are on Amazon in Ghana. So Amazon globally. They are also both paperback and in ebook format. You can also get them in Ghana at Book Nook .store, also in Vidia bookstore in Osu and in Laboni. So I would hand over now to Elikem to wrap it all up.
Right, thank you, Nana. It's been an interesting day. We originally planned to do this on Zoom and we were zoomed out of Zoom. God, and thanks to Marjy strategy that we found to make this happen. We are grateful to Marj especially. We want to also thank all the authors who came on board today, even in the midst of all the trouble, the technical troubles we had. You stayed with us, you worked with us, you ensure that everything worked out very well. I'd like to just mention everyone, Anna, Kwesi Janting, Agyemang-Prempeh, Supreme, BC Japong, Audrey, Rodney, and Marjy. I think that all of you have done a fantastic job today, and we are grateful that you made this happen. This is the first season of our reading festival. I'm sure we're going to do a lot more, so watch this space, watch our page that probably now Facebook timelines will be coming your way with a lot more stuff. I also want to thank everybody who joined us, those who also joined us in Zoom and feed. We are grateful to you spending about 3 hours of your time with us today to ensure that this happened and was successful. Thank you so much for keeping faith with us. And then finally, I want us to say a big thank you to Awere Ghana for clothing authors for today. You can get the shaders we are wearing from. You can find them on Facebook. The name is Awere Ghana. They also have a website, awereghana.com. Make your order, and you get very nice apparel to wear. Once again, massive thank you to those of you who watched, who sent comments, who shared the links. You guys made this a really, really great success, and we look forward to doing more of such events. And Marjy, thanks more for guiding us to StreamYard. On this note, thank you all and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Bye, guys.